What is up, boyos?
Hello, boyos.
Welcome to Last Week in Games, where everything is video games. Last week, the biggest video game news in the past decade happened, and that we're gonna talk about that. That's what we're gonna talk about. Activision was purchased by Microsoft, and it's the most insane thing in the world. But before we do that, let me introduce you to my host here today. The one, the only, Nicholas Herbert Sapon.
Oh, the Rock. Herbert the Rock. I thought you were going to say myself. Okay, yeah. Hi, everybody.
Oh, yeah, my name's Jake.
My name is Nicholas Herbert the Rock Sapon, and Jake is hosting today.
Nicholas Herbert the Rock Robinette Sapon.
Yeah, we should write them all down. And then at the end of the year, we'll have the entire list of all of my middle names that I've come up with, or that you've come up with for me, as a group.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
I'll fucking do it.
Okay, you do it.
I'll start like 3 days ago when it was Robinette.
Yeah, Robinette. And
wasn't Hillary one of them too, or
Rodham. Yeah. Yeah,
what?
Rodham.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was one of them. You've got some weird names, my guy.
Herbert. I just looked up.
Herbert.
I look up famous middle names.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody named Herbert or Robinette.
Robinette is Joe Biden's middle name.
That's a terrible middle name for Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Robinette.
Well, it's his middle name.
I could see Joe Robin. Joe Robin. But Robinette? It must be a family name.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just a strange name.
Rodham?
Anyway.
I don't know if that's her middle name or if that was like her maiden name.
Who's that?
Hillary. I think that may have been her maiden name. So that was like her last name.
It sounds like a last name. I wonder if she's related to John Hamm.
Yeah, those are the same.
Or Rod Ham.
Yeah, Rod Ham. Her grandpa.
Rod Ham. Yeah,
Rod Ham.
Her grandpa Rodham.
Yeah, Rod Ham. That's my board name.
Rod Ham.
Nick, what you been
Jake.
playing?
Oh man, just a couple of things that go off of the status quo. And the first one that I've been playing a buttload of is Monster Hunter Rise. I don't have the page pulled up right now, but I have put in a bunch of hours. Granted, okay, so Steam says I put 29.9 hours into Monster Hunter Rise.
In like a week.
I have had the game on. I'm going to sneeze.
Go ahead.
You said go ahead, and the feeling fucking went away. So, I've had that includes having it open while I was like, making dinner and stuff like that. So it's not completely true. The game has been open for 30 hours.
Yeah,
I have not put that much time into it. I'm having a blast. This is such a good game. I wish other people liked it, but I'm all alone in that. And I did that. And then the most notable thing that I did was, you remember Paragon, right? I bring it up all the time. That was the love that
I do.
I couldn't hold on to not because of me, because Epic decided to end things prematurely. We could have had something.
For those that don't know, what is Paragon, Nick?
Paragon was Epic Games, the people who made Fortnite, their version of League of Legends, but it was a third-person view, so it felt more like a third-person action game than like a clicky button mashy MOBA, and it felt real good. So
it was basically a MOBA designed for a controller.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
It was an action MOBA. That's kind of what I put it at, and rather than a strategic MOBA, it was an action MOBA. And so they dismantled the team and pushed them all to Fortnite, and they released all the assets for free to the public because they're like, we're never gonna fucking pick this game up again.
That's pretty cool though.
It is, but I wish they also provided the code
Yeah.
because then we could just play it. It could just be like, no updates, no nothing. You just play it bare bones. That's what it's going to be forever. That would have been fantastic. But
Yeah, but
no, so
they'd have to have like servers for that.
right. Or
Yeah.
you just play bots by yourself. Splits. I don't know. I don't
That
know, man.
that'd be nice.
But anyway, so they dismembered the team working on it and gave out all the assets. So a couple of teams have real small teams have picked up all the assets and have been trying to like recreate it and revamp it in their own kind of style. And one of those games is called Overprime, and they had an open beta this weekend, and it's very bare bones. Um, it's very early, and you can see that it's very early. The item shop needs a UI rework. The items are all kind of basic ass items. But I had a great time. It scratched the itch that I have been looking for, and I tell you what, Jacob, I tell you, if they never closed the studio down, I would probably be ahead of the creative directive team. 100%. I love this game so fucking much. I love it so much. I probably would have had a following of, 20,000 people or something. The only people to ever play Paragon. They would have all followed me,
Yeah.
and I would have been like the PR guy. You remember the guy when I don't know if you watched them, but they would have like these bi-weekly things where they would just sit on a couch and go, "This is the next hero that's coming to Paragon. This is the changes we're making, blah, blah, blah." I would be that guy because I just love this game so much.
You'd be like the
And
ninja of Paragon.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It would be my calling, and I'd either be running the esport of it, or I'd just be like, I'd be in it. I'd be in it hard somehow. I love this game, and I played as much as I could over the weekend. And it's not the same. It was very bare bones, but it just scratched that itch. It was just like you got an itch on your back and you can't really reach it, so you kind of like scratch it with something else, and you're like, "That's really get it. I'll just have somebody get it for me later." It was kind of like that.
Well,
Um,
as long as it has my boy Rampage in it, I'm ready.
it does. His name isn't Rampage though. It was something
What?
else. I forget what his name was.
I don't want to play a guy
Um,
not named
oh,
Rampage.
dude, do you remember Steel? Do you remember Steel, the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
like guy with the shield, and he put the shield on? I will give you three chances to guess what they renamed him.
Bronze,
And close. Not
Iron.
actually, it's not actually close at all. No. No,
Uh,
you're way off. Okay, so
uh,
bronze. That's your first one.
Iron.
No.
Uh, I don't know.
Got.
Scott.
Scott.
Oh, it's just Scott.
It's just Scott.
It's just Scott.
It's just Scott.
Yeah, this is Scott.
It's like, yeah.
Rampage is now Brian.
It was kind of like that, dude. There was the guy Murdoch, the guy with the like the
Yeah,
sheriff
yeah.
guy with the gun, the futuristic sheriff guy. They named him Grud or Gerd or something like that, and it's like this is horrible. Who's in the charge of naming these people?
They couldn't
The
change. They couldn't
assassins?
keep the names.
No, they can. I
Okay.
don't. A lot of there's a couple other games that are keeping the names, but I don't know why they. The assassin bitch Kalari, her name changed to Kayla. It's like, okay, gross. I don't like it.
Kayla. Yeah.
Gideon, the guy who summons the portal and drops the rocks on people, his name was Cosmos. I'm like, that's okay,
Yeah.
but he was probably the best. Twin Blast was. Oh, his name was stupid too. But anyway, it was fun. It was fun. I had a great time with the boys, a couple of the boys. If you were there, we would have had a full team. Um, but it was good. We won both games that we played. And what you've been playing? What have you been playing this week?
And what you been playing? I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to talk about our news story. But I will say, I've continued playing Darkest Dungeon.
Mm.
Probably the furthest I've ever been in the game, and it makes me very mad. Makes me want to throw things at the TV. But the reason I bring it up today is because Nick, I am on the verge
Of quitting and killing yourself.
That
Yeah.
and man, I might buy that new Pokemon game, dude.
Oh, do you? Can we talk? Can we have a segment?
Yeah,
Can we have a segment towards the end where next week in games? Can we talk about that?
yeah.
Because I have some
Okay.
things to say about Pokemon as
I was
well.
gonna talk about it here, but yeah, we could wait. I
I mean, we
guess
can,
I'll
but I
save
can
it.
go for a while. We can.
Okay,
I
I'll save
can.
it.
There's a couple of things that I want to talk
That's a
about.
little front tease for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
front tease for you guys. We'll talk
I just
about
want to make.
Pokemon.
I just want to make sure we get through the show all right, and then we'll
Yeah,
take whatever time that we have to talk about that. Because
yeah,
I could
because
talk. I just
yeah,
learned some things
this.
today that I'm like, interesting. But yeah, sorry. I don't mean to like fuck you up in your order or
Oh no,
anything. You
you're
are the
good.
host.
You're good. Let's just get into the news. We got no titties
All right.
today. There's no
No
tidbits of
titties.
news. We're
Oh,
getting straight into the news. There was like
oh.
one big piece of news. There's a smaller piece of news that we'll talk about too. But the big one, here it is. This comes from Tom Warren at The Verge. Microsoft is acquiring Activision, the troubled publisher of Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Diablo. The deal will value Activision at $68.7 billion, far in excess of the $26 billion Microsoft paid to acquire LinkedIn in 2016. It's Microsoft's biggest push into gaming, and the company says it will be the, quote, third largest gaming company by revenue behind Tencent and Sony once the deal closes. Microsoft plans to add many of Activision's games to Xbox Game Pass once the deal closes. With the acquisition of Xbox, Microsoft will soon publish franchises like Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Candy Crush. Quote, upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog, says Microsoft CEO of Gaming, Phil Spencer. Nick, what do you think of this news?
Right off the bat, upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can with an Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass. That right off the bat, I'm all for that, dude.
Yeah.
It's like why pick up a PlayStation? Why am I picking up PlayStation games at all anymore? If everything's coming to Game Pass, your boy's just gonna re-up Game Pass and pick up, Wolverine, Spider-Man. Those are the only games I'm gonna be playing on PlayStation because I got a new computer. It runs pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Why would I buy anything on?
You're definitely
PlayStation?
canceling your PlayStation Plus membership. That's for sure.
Well, what sucks about that though? Well, it doesn't suck. It's all right. I got like 3 years left.
Oh, well,
Because there was a
that's fine.
deal and I just re-upped a whole bunch of times and they're like, all right, well, you're good for 3 years. I'm like, sweet. But yeah, I'm good. We have a lot to look forward to in terms of Game Pass stuff, but we also have a lot to look forward to in terms of what the fuck Sony's going to do to counter
I want to
this.
wait. I want to wait on Sony for just a second. I just want to
Okay.
talk about the
right.
Microsoft and Blizzard thing because I think the Sony conversation can be its own thing.
Okay.
So
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the craziest thing that's happened in video games since
ever.
ever, as far as I remember, at least as far as my little pea brain goes back. It's this is crazy. $68.7 billion. Did you know that Nintendo's network cap is only like $10 billion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. That is so
it's
crazy.
terrifying, really.
The power play that Microsoft has just like they're not I can't imagine they're picking up any more studios for a minute. But then again, it is Microsoft. And then again, since they required it, now they have all of those fucking scammy ass like the pay to play sort of loot box bullshit that like Call of Duty has, and I'm sure Candy Crush has like ad remove this ad for $1 or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of scummy things that Activision Blizzard's been doing that Microsoft is going to keep rolling out for a while just to make up that money a little bit. I got the hiccups. Go ahead.
Always. Yeah, I made a video pretty much right after this news was announced.
Hmm.
I made a video. I read the whole entire like letter from Microsoft or whatever. So if you
Hmm.
want to go watch that, go ahead. People listening, not right now. Finish this episode, then you can go watch that. You could hear my initial thoughts. I've softened a little to this news since that initial
Hmm.
drop.
Well, yeah, that's going to happen though,
So,
because like it's so shocking and
yeah,
it's just like, holy shit, everything sucks. Monopolies and bullshit. And then once you kind of settle in, it's like, well,
yeah.
what
s-
it kind
s-
of
so,
go ahead.
like,
I don't want to step on your toes.
yeah, like I think I still kind of feel the same because I think what this does, they're not, they're gonna have, it's gonna take a year for this to process and make sure it's good in the courts and they don't have some sort of the monopoly or whatever, just like what happened with Fox. It took a while for Fox and Disney, that is.
Hmm.
uh
Yeah.
but I
I,
think when you lay it out, they're gonna be allowed to acquire Activision because we still have Ubisoft, Sony, Nintendo, Tencent, Take
hmm.
Two. Like there's still so many companies. But
Yeah.
I think this sets a precedent for companies just buying out companies. But there is like good news in here for sure. Like first and foremost, I'm sure every Activision employee is fucking pumped as hell. They're just like,
Yeah.
thank God. We
Hmm.
just have to endure one more year of Bobby Kotick, and they're kicking him out because the way they worded it in that initial press conference was like
It was
Bobby Kotick,
sketchy. It
yeah,
was sketchy.
Bobby Kotick will remain the CEO of Activision, but once we are acquired, Activision will report directly to head of Microsoft CEO of gaming Phil Spencer, which is also a new title for Phil Spencer, I guess.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, I think it, and what I mean by I think it sets a new precedent is because I think it's totally possible now and I actually think this would be a good thing. Not that I want to talk about Sony yet, but like Sony could easily go buy Konami now, but I don't think Microsoft's done. I
What
think
do you mean? What do you mean they're not done? They're not done buying things, or they're not done what?
it's totally possible that Microsoft buys either Capcom or EA or Konami, any of these things. I think it's totally possible and within the realm of possibility. Um, and at that point, that's the point when we go, oh God. I'm already kind of at that point where I'm like, oh God. Like,
I
because
mean,
they don't have a
you're.
monopoly yet,
Mhm.
but like,
I mean,
man, like, that is such a huge acquisition.
see, the way I look at it is politics. The United States politics are just fucked. They're just totally fucked
It's world
for.
politics.
Well, I mean, just capitalism in general is just a fucked. We're all fucked. Is all I'm saying, and it'll just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I have no doubt that Microsoft or another company that like springs up and becomes bigger than Microsoft at some point just takes over everything and becomes you know
There's no company bigger than Microsoft, dude.
God King Bezos.com or something like that, and they just eat up everything. And because there's so much money in that none of the politicians will touch it because they're all getting paid out. None of anybody will touch it because they provide a crazy service to consumers that they do a good job and people just keep buying their shit. Um, it's just one of those things that like capitalism doesn't work out in the long run, and I think we will see the means to that end for whatever that means. And I have no doubt that Microsoft is going to buy something else. I have no doubt that Sony's going to buy something to counteract this. Um, wouldn't it be fucking crazy if Sony bought EA? That'd be fucking nuts.
I'm shocked, dude, because I remember just a few weeks ago, me and you on this very show
mhm,
that is live every Monday at 3:30 on twitch.tv/lonercast.
mhm.
uh, we talked about how Phil Spencer was like, we need to reevaluate our relationship with Activision. And I was like,
And
okay.
doing so, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I guess their relationship is done. And I didn't expect him to fucking buy Activision.
No, they're like, hey, you're doing it wrong. We're buying you out. Daddy's buying you out. Yeah, it's
Do you think
ah,
they were only able to buy Activision because of all of the drama going on? Like, do you think
I don't think that would be the only thing. I think it helped their case quite a bit. Like they came up and they're like into the boardroom, and Phil Spencer, I know Phil Spencer's not really probably the guy that actually talks to like the company for acquisitions and stuff, but he probably
might
walked
have
up
been?
into the boardroom and went slap. He's like, "You're doing it wrong. You guys are shitting the bed, and we can fix it if you let us buy you." And they're like, "Dude, we've had enough. We're getting beaten up over here by everybody. Fucking yes, we'll take your money. Like this is too much." So they're just like, "Here you go. You deal with the shitstorm that we've created." And fuck, man, if they do it, good for them. I just hope they do their spring cleaning and get rid of Bobby Kotick and all of his fucking cronies that work at Activision Blizzard and rehire like me,
Yeah.
um,
Hire
and
Nick.
you. Yeah.
I'm good. I don't want to work for Microsoft.
No. What about Activision Blizzard?
Oh, I'll work for them right now, but not when they're.
Okay, but as soon as the year's over, you probably get fired
I
anyway.
want to get into that Cosby room, baby.
Yeah, you'd probably
That's a
get
joke.
fired
That's
shortly
a joke.
after.
That is a joke.
Speaking of Cosby, you think he really did that shit?
I think it did. I think it did. I
uh,
also wonder if, like if Activision never merged with Blizzard, I wonder if this would have happened too, because one thing I noticed for sure is Blizzard hasn't released a game since fucking 2017,
well, I mean, they've re-released games.
and they've flopped. Like they re-released Warcraft
Diablos.
3,
Yeah.
which was like a total clusterfuck. I think the new Diablo did okay. But that was never gonna sell a gajillion copies, you know.
No.
And
The
like
last thing I think was like Overwatch, wasn't
Overwatch,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the new Overwatch was supposed to come out in 2020. And I think what a lot of these bigger companies like Activision, well, also Activision, all they release is Call of Duty. You know,
Yeah.
they've released a handful of things in the past couple of years with Crash Bandicoot and Tony Hawk or whatever, but those felt more like, let's just throw these at the wall and then we'll merge those teams with Call of Duty right after they release, because that's exactly what happened. And I think what a lot of these bigger publishers are realizing, because I think a lot of them were like, let's just push our big franchise, because that's fine. We could just put all of our studios on the big franchise. And I think what they're realizing is, oh shit, we're going into a streaming world where that's just not going to cut it.
Right.
And we got to make deals where we're giving multiple games. So you see EA right now kind of desperately releasing like a new Dragon Age game and a new Mass Effect game. Like it seems like, because for the longest time it was just like, here's sports and maybe Battlefield.
So you say that, but then you look at shit like Fortnite. We were just talking about this. You look at shit like Fortnite, and they actually like destroyed other teams in order to
Well, that's what I'm saying.
beef up Fortnite
I
and
think all of these
put
teams,
more assets into it.
all of these teams did that, and now they're starting to notice the errors of their ways. Is what I'm saying.
It could be,
'Cause
but I think
especially
Fortnite's still
with
going strong.
well, Fortnite, yeah, well, but Epic also has other ventures like the Epic Game Store and stuff. Like
Yeah,
they're doing fine. Also, Epic's free game play game, and that's why I said I think Activision was probably doing fine by themselves if they didn't acquire Blizzard, because I'm sure Warzone is doing fine for them.
True.
But with the whole Blizzard thing, and like it seems like Overwatch is an absolute shit show, probably, and they probably put all of their eggs into that basket, and then people in mass just leaving World of Warcraft, which has been a cash cow for them for years.
That's right.
I don't know how much money they've lost, but I am guessing a shit ton of money monthly they've just lost from people leaving Warcraft.
Yeah.
So like I wonder if it's that plus the whole like drama with all the people over at Activision, and then Microsoft was like, what's going on over here? You guys look to be struggling. Would you like us to buy you?
We can help you out.
Yes, please come with us. Yeah. Yeah, and to me it seems different than even with Bethesda, where Bethesda was like, we're buying this publisher and they're going to keep doing their own thing. We're just going to help them out when we can and they can be on our platform, blah blah blah. This feels like, no, we're buying Activision and Blizzard because they have a few really good studios and a lot of really good IP. And when they merge with us, Activision Blizzard exists no more. Like, there is no more Activision Blizzard after this acquisition. Instead,
that'd be so strange. Could you imagine a Call of Duty game, and at the beginning it doesn't say Activision?
No, it
says
won't.
Microsoft Studios.
I have a belief. I think it will not. I think it'll say Microsoft Studios, made by Treyarch. You know, like I think they're gonna just completely drop the whole Activision Blizzard thing.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good move.
There's like a stigma around Activision and Blizzard and stuff like that. So not seeing that logo is kind of refreshing, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what this means for the future of Game Pass, and I also think a big part of this acquisition was the whole King publisher, which were the guys who made Candy Crush. I think Xbox wants to get into that phone market a bit more, make some Halo bullshit for the phone.
Considering how much like Tencent is making from their multi-phone bullshit, because they've got Epic and then they've got phone shit, you know. So
well, we can get into the Sony of it all here. I have two reports here that I want to read before we start talking about Sony. Sony stock drops $20 billion thanks to Microsoft Activision Xbox deal. This comes from Michael Beckwith at TechRadar. Stock in Sony plunged overnight by 13%, equating to $20 billion lost in the company in the wake of Microsoft's announcement that it will be purchasing Activision Blizzard. According to Bloomberg and Eurogamer, this is the largest fall in stock price in Sony's history since 2008. Meanwhile, shares in Japanese companies such as Capcom, Square Enix, and Konami jumped about 5%. Ubisoft stock prices also went up by 11%.
Strange.
I think I know exactly why that is.
You know why exactly Capcom, Square, and Konami all jumped up, but PlayStation went down? Why?
Yeah, because they looked at that and they said, "Oh, Activision just got bought.
Why not these other companies?"
Yeah, Sony's gonna pull the trigger on one of these.
It could be,
or something we're not talking about. Maybe Take-Two is gonna jump on one of these, or Tencent is gonna, because that's what I meant earlier. Is like, this sets a precedent not just for Xbox but for Sony and all the other companies. Like, oh shit, we can do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering what's gonna happen with Nintendo too. We could talk about that in a second too. But
oh my god, yes, for real.
Sony response to Xbox Activision deal. We expect multi-platform games due to contractual agreements. This comes from Andy Robinson over at VGC. Sony has responded for the first time to Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard and said that it expects games to remain multi-platform due to contractual agreements. Quote, we expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform, a Sony spokesperson said via Wall Street Journal on Thursday. Also, Phil Spencer, I don't have the quote here. Phil Spencer came out and was like, it was a very weirdly worded thing where he's like, yeah, we have contracts and we want to keep it multi-platform, but if you remember, he said that same shit about Bethesda when they acquired Bethesda, and Starfield is not coming to PlayStation.
Well, on that, I'm sure, I am 100% sure Sony had Activision sign something, we'll just say with Call of Duty, where it's like, this is going to be on this platform for X amount of years, right? And in that contract, it says that. So I think Microsoft's attorneys are going to have to look at that and go, okay, well, how long are they written in this contract for? And then that's the extent that it will be multi-platform. As soon as that X factor is no longer a factor, it'll go to Xbox, solely Xbox. Why would they not?
My guess is we'll definitely get the Call of Duty that comes out this year on PlayStation because they haven't been acquired yet by Microsoft. Maybe even next year because they're going to get acquired by like the middle of next year is my guess. So we'll probably get the next two Call of Duties on PlayStation. My guess, that'll be it. But I think Warzone will remain. And I think that's what they're talking about. Like, hey, games that are already on PlayStation are not going away. You'll still have Modern Warfare. You'll still have blah, 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 You know
what's funny about that, though, is all Xbox would have to do, all Microsoft would have to do, is just release Warzone 2.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally.
Like, what would stop them? Like, you know what? We're still doing this. We're just making the servers a little bit smaller. We're not going to put out updates anymore. And it's just going to be Warzone 2. Or we'll call it something else. Warfield or something. I don't know. Yeah. And it'll just be that on Xbox. And it'll be like, well, come over to Game Pass, baby. It's free on Game Pass. Yeah. You don't even need Game Pass. It's just like Halo. Just come on over. And I don't see why they wouldn't do that. I feel like this is a boiling point. We're sizzling right now. Like we got little bubbles in the fucking pot of water that we're in. And as soon as Sony eats up another company, or Microsoft eats up another company, or Take-Two eats up another company, we're gonna start feeling those bubbles, and it's gonna be like back to Xbox versus PlayStation. It'll be console wars again. And
but here's an interesting question for you, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Does Sony just go, okay, yeah, they've got those big publishers, and they've got the PC they've got the PC platform, and they've got Game Pass. Does Sony sit there and say, but we've got God of War, we've got Spider-Man, we've got Horizon, we've got a really good platform in the PS5, and we're a different company than Microsoft. How about we strike up a deal with Microsoft and put Game Pass on the PlayStation?
Ooh. That's something they would do, too. That is something they would do.
I feel like that's something they would never fucking do because Sony is so particular about things. But
it is, but it would be it would be a turntable for them because you know how there's a Blu-ray player in every Xbox?
Yeah.
If they just had Game Pass with every PlayStation, it would be a turntables. And Xbox been doing it. Xbox has been dealing with that shit for a long time. And I believe it wouldn't be out of the question for Sony to be like, yeah, okay, we can do that.
But we still have our premium games over here on this console. Yep. So like if you are a console gamer, we're still the way to go. Because we have Game Pass and we have The Last of Us,
I'm
But
not gonna lie, like Sony has the better games
for
still.
now, yeah,
Um, I haven't seen any inkling into Game Pass exclusive games that are like, this is the game. This is the game that'll get me to,
it's true.
buy a computer or buy an Xbox. It's just like,
Yeah, I think
it's just a good deal, is all it is. It really is.
yeah, and that is huge in and of itself. But I think it's more like for right now, for sure. PlayStation has the better games. They may always have the better games because and that's just our personal bias as well. Like we just love God of War and those kind of games.
Spider-Man,
And
yeah.
yeah, Naughty Dog. But at the same time, when you think about Activision, like if we're getting like a new Spyro game, a new, Guitar Hero, these are things that Phil Spencer mentioned too.
Mhm.
New Crash Bandicoot, as well as Call of Duty every year. And
Maybe not every year. Maybe they'll fix Call of Duty so that it's more of like a reason to buy Call of Duty rather than just, it's a game we release every year. It's just copy paste.
yeah, that I wonder that as well. But like, we'll get Call of Duty every few years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've also got like, since we're moving, Call of Duty to every few years, we can take Raven or Sledgehammer and they
Mm-hmm.
can go off and do whatever they want. New IP, huge.
Right.
We've got Ninja Theory, they're making their games. We still have all the Microsoft studios, plus we have Bethesda. So we've got Doom, we've got we've got Skyrim, all of that shit. Like it's pretty mass. It's like it's not just like it's no longer just like Halo versus God of War or Gears of War versus Uncharted anymore. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's like fucking they have all the third party support as well as first party support. Like
Yeah.
PlayStation just lost a huge chunk of its player base, especially if Call of Duty leaves, because a big
Yeah.
reason people buy PlayStations is just to play Call of Duty.
Well,
Not
it's to
us.
play. It's to play with their friends. I'm
Yeah.
losing. I'm losing my internet, so I'm sorry. Um, if that happens, yeah, people buy PlayStations because their friends are buying PlayStations because they have a friend who plays, a PlayStation exclusive, and they're like, I want to play Spider-Man, and they'll buy a PlayStation, and then but they mostly play Call of Duties, with their friends. With this, it's like, well, if you just get an Xbox, it's got Game Pass on it. You can get most of those games, and we can still jam on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and Sony's gonna have to say something about it.
Soon.
Uh,
Soon.
it'd be really cool if they got Nintendo, but because fuck Nintendo.
I don't want that, honestly. I don't want them to get Nintendo. I like Nintendo being its own weird self in the corner.
Honestly, if anybody were to get it, Sony and Xbox, I would want Microsoft to buy Nintendo because I feel like they would right a lot of wrongs that Nintendo has done.
Yeah,
And I was going to say this. I was going to say, as long as Phil Spencer is in charge of the gaming sector, I think we're okay.
but
I think that lessens I think that lessens the blow of what's happening here.
that
But
is the thing though.
as soon as he leaves, or as soon as somebody takes over for him who is a little bit jaded or a little bit more greedy or something like that isn't the right state of mind, he can fuck that whole thing up. He could fuck the whole thing up and we would be screwed. I think Phil Spencer and his team that he's got is fire. They're fire, dude. They're killing it. They're
Mhm.
killing it for the consumers, and I have nothing but respect. But as soon as they're gone, then it's like I will be scared for myself. Greedily, I will be scared for myself, and I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. World War III will happen.
Well, that is the thing. Like everyone's like, "Oh, we love Phil Spencer. It's all okay." But like Phil Spencer's not going to be there forever,
No, I wonder how. I'm gonna look up how old he is.
I don't think he's like super super old. He's probably 50 something. But like,
54 years old. He's got 10 years in him.
yeah.
Like maximum.
No, yeah, and
He
I
could
think
probably retire early, but I don't know if he would.
yeah, I think the next 10 years in gaming for Xbox is going to be awesome and it's going to be great and that's really cool. But what does it mean after, once they've demolished the competition? And it's something we never talk about. We've let Microsoft get away with being a monopoly for the longest time anyway already because they've had a monopoly on operating systems for the past 20 fucking years, 20, 30 years, and no one's batted an eye. So, Microsoft is the company to do it. As far as Microsoft picking up Nintendo, they do seem to have a closer relationship than Nintendo does, or than Sony does. But what is interesting here is that every company Xbox has picked up have been American companies. So like, it would be interesting for Sony to like start going after some of the more Japanese centric companies because that is kind of their platform. Right. So like, I mean, the only one that wouldn't make me go, oh fuck, here we go, is Konami. Like, I would absolutely love if Sony got a hold of Konami because Konami's not doing anything. It makes sense. Yeah,
it makes sense.
They're not doing anything with their IP, and Konami has a history with PlayStation already, with Metal Gear being PlayStation exclusive for the longest time, and then also Silent Hill, and PlayStation has a connection with Kojima and Kojima Productions, which could mean we could see some Kojima Konami
a reunion.
Yeah, which would be fucking awesome.
But Konami also does a lot with like real life gambling, like arcade gambling and stuff like that in Japan. So
Sony would ditch that though.
You think so? That's like their biggest moneymaker in Konami.
Yeah, I don't think
Sony would just shut
Sony
down
cares.
all of their arcade machines.
Maybe not at first, but I think they would refocus the company 100%.
That's a big ask. I don't know.
Well, just like Microsoft,
that's a lot of revenue.
Just like Microsoft is going to do with Activision. They're taking Activision and they're going to completely turn that company around into something completely different. And that's what PlayStation would have to do. But the difference between what Microsoft has been doing, and because Sony's made some pretty fucking big purchases lately, with Bluepoint and Insomniac. But the difference between what Sony has been purchasing and Xbox has been purchasing is Microsoft has been buying publishers where Sony's been buying developers, So I don't know who's going to win in the long run. It really depends on if Xbox actually starts pumping out games, because they still haven't.
Yeah.
And, with PlayStation pumping out God of War, Horizon, and fucking anything Bluepoint's working on, Insomniac is pumping out, Wolverine and another Spider-Man game, and like Sony's
Ratchet and Clank, possibly Jack. Like, it's you have to have the games to back it up. You have to have the actual reason that you're buying in. Like, you can't just be third-party indie games all the time. I mean, I guess you could be, but you gotta have those heavy hitters. You gotta have.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You gotta have the Halo types. You gotta have the God of War or Gears of War. You gotta have stuff like that to sell. You gotta have that stuff to sell your platform. And it's been a minute since they've done anything. Halo was a thing, and I barely hear any buzz about that. Like,
yeah.
It came out and people went, that's okay.
I did hear, I forget who was saying this, so I'm sorry I'm not crediting whoever said this because I cannot remember who said this, but they were saying for right now, Xbox Game Pass is like a big place for indie games because they're trying to fill that like it was huge for like Boyfriend Dungeon and games like that. And I think they'll continue to have smaller games come on there. But with the acquisition of Activision and all their other studios that have been working on games and Bethesda working on games, and there's not going to be a whole lot of room for indie games on there. this does leave an opportunity for Sony to be like, yeah, we've got our fucking top tier games, and here's our new Game Pass, and it's the shit. And also, here's some fucking banging indie games that we're just gonna bring you, like, you know, like Returnal before they bought them.
Yep.
Like, you know, Sony's really good at that. So like that is also something like Sony could really nail the market in that way too. Because Sony's always been good at delivering high quality games, and Xbox has always kind of been the more casual console. So I don't know. It's interesting, but Sony's been dominating Xbox for years, and the only reason Microsoft can do this is because they're Microsoft, and it's not because they're Xbox. And that's kind of another issue I have with this. Because I fucking hate hearing like, oh, well, now Microsoft is the third largest gaming company underneath Sony and Tencent, and it's like, no, they're not. they're the biggest company like ever. Like, just because their gaming division is smaller, that doesn't mean shit. It means nothing.
Yep, it's crazy. The crazy world we live in.
Oh, for sure. Anyway, leading right into that, Nick. And why this acquisition is such a massive deal, okay? I've got the 2021 top games of 2021. I worded that correctly.
Highest selling, best-selling
the
games?
best-selling games of 2021.
Of 2021.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're there. This comes from
I just wanted you to get it wrong first so that it just had to make sure that you were.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a stroke, but that's okay.
Good.
But I've got 20 games here. I'll just read the top 10.
You got it.
So this is from physical and full digital from Nintendo eShop, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox platforms. Ranked by dollar sales. In number 1, best-selling game of 2021. Call of Duty Vanguard. Number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Those were the 2 best-selling games of 2021.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And Microsoft owns them now.
Yeah.
Next year, they will own them. And they'll have the top 2 selling games every year. As long as they keep doing the same shit. Crazy.
In number 3 is Madden NFL 22. In number 4 is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. In number 5 is Battlefield 2042. Well, good for them. Surprised it did that well. And number
who? Battlefield?
Yeah. I didn't think that game did that well. So surprising.
I mean, it's sold. I don't think their numbers are very good.
I don't think they care. I think they just want to sell it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Number
6 is Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Nice.
Number 7 is Mario Kart 8.
Stop it.
Stop.
That game's so old.
In number 9 is MLB The Show 21.
You missed Resident Evil Village at number 8.
At number 8 is Resident Evil Village. At number 10 is Super Mario 3D World. So
it's all right.
Kind of interesting.
Kind of a funky list, I think.
Here's some fun lists that we can go into real quick. We'll do them quickly. Here are the top 10 best-selling games on a Nintendo platform.
All right, go through it real quick. Just
number 1, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Number 2, Mario Kart 8. Number 3, Super Mario 3D World. Number 4, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 5, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And number 6, Monster Hunter Rise. At number 7, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. At number 8, Mario Party Superstars. Number 9, Pokemon Sword and Shield. At number 10, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. All first-party games, except for Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter.
It's wild.
And Pokemon.
Pokemon is a first-party game.
No, it's made by the Pokemon Company.
Which is owned by Nintendo.
Okay, well.
If you look over on the publisher over here, it's all Nintendo except for Capcom.
Yeah, the top 20 games. Yeah, I see it.
Insane. Let's do PlayStation real quick. Should be interesting. Top 10 PlayStation games, best-selling 2021. I worded that weird again, whatever. At
Oh
number
my
one
goodness.
is Call of Duty Vanguard. At number 2 is Madden NFL 22. And number 3 is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 4 is Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 5 is MLB The Show 21. Number 6 is Battlefield 2042. Number 7 is FIFA 22. Number 8 is Ghost of Tsushima. Number 9 is Resident Evil Village. And number 10 is Far Cry 6.
Hmm.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah,
And
there's a big mix in there, but it's very casual. All those games are pretty casual.
oh wow. And then when you look at the Xbox list, it makes even more sense why they would buy Activision. Here are the top 10 best-selling games of 2021 for Xbox consoles.
Yeah.
And number 1 is Call of Duty Vanguard. Number 2 is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 3 is Madden NFL 22. Number 4 is Battlefield 2042. Number 5 is Far Cry 6. Number 6 is Forza Horizon 5. Number 7 is Halo Infinite. Number 8 is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 9 is FIFA 22. And number 10 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. 3 Call of
Crazy,
Duty
dude.
games in their top 10 best selling.
In the top 10.
So,
It's nice that they got Halo Infinite and Forza in there as well.
of course they did.
That makes me feel a little better.
Just like PlayStation got Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man.
Miles. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
oddly enough, Ratchet and Clank didn't make the top 10 for Sony.
I don't think that's odd. I think that's such a like people that
It's console
play
exclusive, so
it is, but people that play that game, so is Miles. People
No, it's
that
not.
play that game is Oh no, you meant like generation exclusive.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. People that play that game want to go back and play that game. I'm sure the majority of people who haven't played Ratchet and Clank be like, yeah, I don't really care that much.
I do think it has a lot to do with it being on PS5 only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that was fun. Little trip down memory lane. Speaking of memory lane, here's our last piece of news here, Nick. E3
Ethy.
E3 is probably being canceled altogether in 2022. This comes from Logan Moore at comicbook.com. At the start of this month, the Entertainment Software Association, which is the controlling entity behind the annual E3 gaming convention, revealed that it wouldn't be holding the event in person once again this year due to lingering concerns associated with the pandemic. Based on the statement that was given by the ESA at the time, it was believed that a digital version of the conference, similar to what happened in 2021, would transpire once again this summer. However, based on some new reporting that has since come out about it, now sounds like E3 2022 as a whole is just being scrapped. According to video game industry reporter Jeff Grubb, we love Jeff Grubb here. This is a house of Jeff Grubb. A digital iteration of E3 2022 is also now likely being scrapped for this summer. In a new video released on YouTube, Grubb briefly explained that the digital component of the show is likely not happening, which means that this summer's landscape for gaming announcements will look much different than normal. Quote, E3's been canceled. Well, physically it's been canceled. Digitally, probably also canceled, Grubb said. Nick.
Sad days.
What do you think?
Fucking sad, man. Like the ESA, I don't like them. They're stupid and dumb. It makes no sense. But I love E3 as an event. I love it. And we've gone over it before, so I won't go into a crazy lot of details. But it started off as people in conference rooms trying to sell their ideas to other people, and then it turned into like a press thing where it's like, hey, this is what our game's gonna look like, still in like little tiny conference rooms, and they're like, this is what our games looks like, this is how we do, and then those reporters take it back and go, yeah, I saw like a hands-on playthrough of this and this, wasn't broadcast live or anything. And then a few years after it got started, they started like hyping this shit up. So shit got real. Like They had Cirque du Soleil come in. They, flew out They flew out superstars. They put fucking cars in boxes, and then had like spinning stages and fireworks and dance troops and all kinds of things going on. And Nintendo went, you know what? We're gonna go digital. And it worked so well in this modern times that everybody now is like, we don't have to spend money on these big, elaborate, crazy spectacles. We can just, set up a studio in a backlot and just shoot one person in front of a screen and get B roll on the screen, and it'll be good enough, and people will love it. And it's kind of sad to me that we don't get that. Doing this kind of thing was like, hey man, we should start our own thing so that we can go to events like E3. We can get invited as press to go to E3 and see and play the games before anybody else. Be there, hype in person.
There he goes. He's gone forever, boys. I think what you're saying is true and sad. Like, it sucks to see it go. I loved the big conferences. Sony were the best at it. I loved the Sony conferences with like the big, orchestras and the big stupid thing they did at the last one where they had like the big ballroom from The Last of Us Part 2. That was really cool, and I love that shit. And they had the like flute player from Ghost of Tsushima. That was sweet. Love that shit. And then everyone clowned on him, and they never came back, which is just a goddamn shame. It's really just a goddamn bummer. But I think you're right. I think Sony in particular saw what Nintendo was doing with their Treehouse Lives or whatever, and they're like, oh, we could do that. That sounds way better, and we could do like 4 of them a year. Instead of doing one big conference, let's do like 4 of these bad boys a year. Nintendo followed suit. Nintendo now does, a bunch of them a year. They have the Nindies and it's kind of better for the entire industry, I think, probably, because we get more announcements more frequently and more things get their time in the light rather than like the couple big things getting their time in the light.
But saying that, like, if you were to be an independent developer and you got invited to E3 and your trailer made it into the final cut with the big boys, with the Halo game, and I'm going away again, with the Halo games and the Gears of Wars and stuff like that, I would be super pumped. But now you get lumped in with the Nindy Showcase, which is just indie games, and you're not going to get the kind of viewership that you would necessarily get with the big ass.
No, you're right, but we still get like the Sony events where we're getting God of War at the end, but in the middle there's Stray. Like we're still getting that. But now we're getting even more indies because like before the Nindy Showcase, we had like the PC Game Show and the Future Gaming Show or whatever the fuck they were always called, and that was kind of what they were. But now they have like a legit platform through Nindies and through smaller PlayStation ones. I don't think of it as the end of the world. It is sad because I'll miss the hype, and I loved having the parties where we all got together all weekend. But like, and as far as like the show floor and stuff, PAX still exists. Gamescom still exists. Tokyo Game Show still exists. In fact, I think E3
going on right now. Tokyo Game Show is going on right now.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. We'll talk about that next week probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll still have events like that, and my guess is E3 will still exist too in that sort of capacity, as just like a show floor that happens in LA once a year, where some press can go to play some games behind doors or whatever. Because that it still is like I remember a couple years ago, that's where a bunch of press went to play Cyberpunk. So like they'll still do shit like that. I think we just won't have the big press conferences, or maybe one day we'll have them back. Who knows? Maybe the ESA will go away and Jeff Keighley will be like, "I'm E3 now." Who
Yeah.
knows?
We have a game awards show, and we have upcoming game show,
Yeah.
summer game show. Who knows? That would be cool if, like, we have a lull and people start to miss it, and it's just like becomes like, well, we're kind of over these directs. Can we get like some tangible shit again? And like, oh,
I
okay,
think it'll
yeah, well,
happen.
fucking Jeff Keighley's 80-year-old self will be like, I can do this, and then
I
everybody pays Jeff Keighley to advertise their shit.
and I think people do like seeing like big crowds like that. Like I think people like watching the Game Awards because it's like, look at this big crowd of people, and like those are my people,
Hmm.
Especially for nerds, like we love to fantasize about like hanging out in those rooms.
I mean, we've got like Comic Con every
Yeah, yeah,
year. We've got
exactly.
we got a bunch of shit.
But
So.
yeah, I think that's what it'll become though. I think it'll become like a Comic Con, like an E3,
Hmm.
Comic Con sort of thing, just like a big gaming expo, which is fine. I almost think that's better. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else sad?
No, I think we should get into Pokemon when we get there. I think we should move on. But it's your show today. So I got
Yeah.
nothing else to add to it. But
Well, here's some recent reviews via OpenCritic, real quick. Um, uh, Tom
Tom
Clancy's
Clancy,
Rainbow
there you
Six
go.
Extraction. I got there. I got there.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I just wrote TCR6.
Yeah,
I'm like, he
I got
might
there.
have a
I got
fucking
there.
hard time with that. I got you. All right.
I had a hard time remembering who the fuck Tom Clancy was, but I got there. Uh, Tom
See,
Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction got a 73 from 102 critic reviews. Not
it's
great, Bob.
what's funny about that. I was thinking about that as I was writing. It was like we all thought it was gonna flop and get less than that. Whoever, if you put that on your draft list, you'd still get 3 points.
Yeah. Games
You
don't get
know,
below 70 these days.
that makes me nervous for this draft that we go have going on this year.
Yeah, the fantasy
It
draft.
makes me nervous. Um, yeah. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Windjammers 2 got a 78. That seems appropriate for that game. I love
Hmm.
Windjammers. That comes from 52 critic reviews. And Nobody Saves the World got an 80 from 50 critic reviews. I hear very good things about that game. So,
I have no idea what it's about. The art looks cool. I
yeah.
I have no idea.
Before we
Um,
get into Pokemon, we've got an audience discussion here. This is a perfect time if anyone's in chat to just sort of chime in and talk about your thoughts, but I doubt anyone is. Uh, but this comes
if there's
from,
somebody, there's one person lurking.
and it's me.
Um,
Uh,
uh,
This comes from Cooking for Group over at the YouTube channel. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, leave a comment and we'll talk about it next week. But this comes from Cooking for Group. What studio, developer, or publisher do you think Microsoft will buy next? Is there a studio you hope they buy?
I'll let you go first because I know your answer to this.
Um, what do I think they'll buy next? I think
No,
that
what do you want? Oh yeah, what do you think they'll buy next? And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
what do
yeah.
you want them to buy
So,
next?
what do I think they'll buy next? I think like it's totally within the realm of possibility that they buy EA. Um, or Ubisoft, because Ubisoft is going through the same sort of bullshit that Activision was. But EA is like the most American fucking company, so that seems right up Xbox's alley to purchase. What do I want them to buy? I'd prefer them buy a studio than a publisher.
Okay, that's pretty close to what I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say nothing.
Yeah,
I don't want them to buy anything.
if they're gonna buy anything, like I'd prefer they buy a studio,
Hmm.
like a fledged like when they bought Double Fine. I was like,
Hmm.
great,
Yeah.
that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
great for them. I'm happy for them.
Hmm.
But that's totally and I felt the same with Ninja Theory too. I'm like, okay, great, that's fine.
Hmm.
But it's like when they buy publishers, it feels weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. For me, what publisher do you think Microsoft will buy next?
Valve.
No, no, I don't think unless Gabe N is just done and he's like, fuck it.
Ben's got a
I
retire
don't
soon.
want to do any of this anymore. We had a list of publishers over here somewhere. I thought there it is. I think Ubisoft will be a good one for them because they're already kind of in the pocket with like Nintendo a little bit. Like I feel like Nintendo and Ubisoft kind of have a relationship, especially with like the Rabbids.
Yeah.
Um, if if it's not Nintendo that they will that if they cannot buy Nintendo, I think Ubisoft is the step that they take before they buy Nintendo. I think Nintendo Ubisoft's like, hey, or we're doing shitty. Like you said, we're not selling as many things as we could. We're not producing enough things. We need some guidance, or just money. And they'll be like, all right, yeah. But put in a good word for us at Nintendo. And then you get the talks in between Nintendo and them, and then it's like, and then it's kind of like a Pac-Man sort of situation.
I will say, if we're talking about Sony though, like who do I want them to buy? I said Konami earlier, but also I'd fuck with them buying Square Enix.
That makes sense. It
Yeah,
just makes sense.
because Square Enix hasn't done a lot. Although I've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy and I've been enjoying it. But like I don't know, it'd be cool if they had that Sony polish.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, what studio do I hope they buy? Take-Two. I hope they buy Take-Two next. That's what I'm gonna say. Fuck it. That's yeah. That way we got Grand Theft Auto. We don't have such a shitty fucking take. I don't like Take-Two, and I hope that they kind of do the same shit with that. That's my answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
Do you think it's possible that we see like Valve and Epic start getting into the like buying publisher game?
No. Valve definitely not. I don't think they would. They're not in the business of publishing. I think Valve is at this point on a decline, and they're just going to decline until they're out. I think that's
You think
what
so?
they're going to. Yes.
Because I could see Valve being like, oh shit, we should maybe start thinking about clapping back here.
No way, dude. Valve, I feel like Valve is out of touch, and they answer to Gabe N, who just doesn't really care a whole lot anymore, and he's just like, dude, we're chilling, man. We're all doing all right. And I think it will just go until it doesn't exist.
I don't know. Yeah, but that is the scary part about Xbox, right? Because Gabe kind of used to be the original Phil Spencer. Like we all loved Gabe back in the day. So it could happen to Phil soon.
It could. He could just be one day like, all right, I love you guys. I'm leaving to New Zealand and never coming back. And then
I think Gabe finally came back. I think he's back now.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think he's living there permanently.
Nah, I saw a thing. He's back. He's back in Washington, I think.
All right. Well, maybe they kicked him out because he was so lax.
Yeah. He's just like, Gabe, you got to put some real shoes on. You can't wear these flip-flops every day, dude.
You can't wear slippers to the market. Like that just, no, man.
Gabe, you got to put on some pants when you go to church or whatever, man.
You can't just put on a bathrobe. That's just weird. Dude.
Anyway, next week in games. I'll do the first two that we'll do,
so I got you.
We got The Artful Escape coming out on PlayStation 5, PS4, and the Switch on January 25th, which is my birthday.
Nice.
And the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on PlayStation 5 and PC January 28th. That's exciting. If you've never played the Uncharted games, now is your time to shine, baby. And Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out on Nintendo Switch January 28th. Nick, what do you think?
Well, no, I wanted to, because you brought it up, so I want you to say what you were going to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, so what I was going to say about it is I am so fucking tempted to play this game because, well, a few reasons, okay? So I've been playing Darkest Dungeon on my bed. It's a perfect game to play while I'm on my bed. I feel like Pokemon would also be the perfect game to play while I'm like going to sleep, fighting monsters, watching movies or whatever. Right. On top of that, there's a lot of games that come out like Elden Ring. I'm like, am I going to buy that day one? Or I could wait until it goes down in price. Pokemon never going down in price. Like it's just not. So like there's no reason I shouldn't buy it right now if I'm going to buy it eventually anyway. So that's kind of my thought process. Also, I've seen online today specifically, there's been a bunch of people talking about their experience with the game, and everyone's like, "This is just like a breath of fresh air,
Hmm.
and it's like totally different. You're going out, you're just filling a Pokedex." I saw one article that was like, they really go by the motto of "you got to catch them all," and like that sounds great to me. Like that sounds fun. Like because I guess the whole idea is like it's back in you're back in time. This is the first Pokedex ever, and you're filling out the Pokedex for the first time. So like
Yeah.
that's the idea of the game, which sounds awesome. Sounds like a good time.
So
What do you think?
I just on a whim, I just went, you know what? What is this game? And I saw
It's
somewhere that
Monster Hunter.
people have, well, no, people have been leaking stuff. Like I don't know
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
but they've been leaking stuff about the game,
People
and
straight up streaming it on Twitch. Yeah,
there are some really interesting things that they're doing. Um, People say it looks like Breath of the Wild more than Pokemon.
I've heard Breath of
Um,
the Wilds meets Monster Hunter, is what I've heard.
really.
Yeah.
Um, Redditor Herbal Screams responds to the thread's prompt with the story itself. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I'm super excited to see the full thing. Um, I thought that was going to lead somewhere else, but there's also okay. So here's kind of the list of things that kind of are making me excited for this. I guess this new region is Hisuian, Hisuian. Um,
Suyin.
so they have new versions of Pokemon, and the picture, spoilers by the way, the picture that they have on the website that I'm reading this on, which is Screen Rant, is Typhlosion. You know how he's like, rah, and he's got the flames back blowing up behind his back,
Yeah.
in action mode. Well, he can't have the flames like constantly going on the back, so they have a picture of him just like chilling with no flames going, and it's like, wow, this looks fucking cool. Like he just looks different, and I enjoy that. Apparently they're gonna have like a hangout thing where you can like bring out all your Pokemon and hang out with them. That's kind of cool or
Yeah, I
whatnot.
saw a thing online where a dude was just like, "Here, let's just throw out my Pokemon," and he just threw out, and
Yeah,
they're just there, and you're just
they're
like,
just there. You're
it's like
just
that's fucking cool, man.
yeah. One thing that really excites me is there's no more trade evolutions. So, like, you don't need to trade with your friend in order to evolve a Haunter into a Gengar or a Graveler into a Golem.
That's good.
Um, there's going to be quest-based exploration, it
Hmm.
says.
Yeah, it says
Um,
everything I've heard. It's more quest based than it is like go to these gyms,
mhm.
and it's.
um,
I also
you
heard like once you get past the tutorial area, it's a lot like Breath of the Wild, where it's just like go, do whatever.
Super cool.
Yeah.
There apparently you don't need to go to the move forgetter. The guy that sits in the Pokemart and's like, hey, you want your Pokemon to forget a move? Come to me. You can just fucking swap the moves out whenever you want. Just anytime. You're like, all right, well, I'm going up against this guy, so I'm gonna change Voltorb's fucking move set so that it's better against this guy. They
That is
added a bunch,
sick. I love
yeah,
that. That is so good.
they added a bunch of new animations, and we've seen that in the trailers and stuff. There's a new combat system that I'm kind of curious about. I saw pictures of this. This Pokemon sizes are actual what they would be, it seems.
So we
I
got a
haven't
5 foot
seen
Charizard.
Yeah, I haven't seen Wailord in any of these pictures yet, because that would be massive. But like I've seen like a Machamp standing behind the trainer, and he's like double the size of the trainer, and like little squirrel, it's like a little dog, size, but it's crazy. There's new evolution cutscenes and stuff like that. It seems really cool. It seems like they have a lot of quality of life stuff in this game, and I don't know if it's a day one for me. I really want to read the reviews and see what it's about. Um,
I think it might be
but
day one for me, Nick. I think I'm just
but
gonna
it,
pre-purchase it right now.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, I'll get in on it, and we can fucking roam around. There's got to be like a multiplayer aspect of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it looks cool. I drafted it. Uh, Draft pick. So we'll see how it goes.
Nick Winfo robot, but that's okay. That's a good place to end the show. Uh, Make sure you check out the other Loner Cast shows. We got the spoiler casts where, we do all the MCU movies. We might do them for Mobius when that comes out, or Morbius when that comes out, or whatever. But the newest one is going to be Thor Ragnarok. So come hang out and check that out. Watch us live on twitch.tv/lonercast every Monday at 3:30. Also, I'm streaming on here all the goddamn time. We've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a good time. If I pick up Pokemon, we'll maybe play some Pokemon on here. That might be fun. Check out the show on Twitter at LonerCast1. Check me out on Twitter at emergencypizza_, and check Nick out on Twitter at fatal_microwave. With that, I bid you adieu.